We are officially one day away from the 2023 NBA Finals between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. The Nuggets have been extremely dominant this postseason, taking out a slew of really talented teams like the Phoenix Suns and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Miami Heat had a very different path as they were the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference and had to take down the top 2 seeds in the East just to make it to the championship round. Although the Nuggets are a 1 seed and the Heat are an 8th seed, I think this has the potential to be a very interesting matchup. Here are 4 things you need to watch out for during this year's NBA Finals. First, let's talk about the matchup between Nikola Jokic and Bam Adebayo. Nikola Jokic has been awesome this postseason. He's averaging a near 30-point triple-double on elite efficiency, and he's been really good not just offensively, but also defensively. He's faced a lot of really talented defensive big men in this playoff run, including Anthony Davis and Rudy Gobert, but no one has been able to stop him at all. Bam Adebayo is a really talented defender who can protect the rim and defend in space and guard on the perimeter. He's kind of like Anthony Davis in that way, though I don't think he's quite as good of a rim protector as Anthony Davis. If the Heat want to be very competitive in this series, I think they have to contain Nikola Jokic, and the one guy who's going to be guarding him a lot this series is Adebayo. Based on what we've seen from Jokic so far in the playoffs, I don't think Bam is going to have a lot of success stopping him. However, I do think that he is good enough to kind of contain him a little bit, and the Heat really need that if they want to win this series. I truly believe that Bam Adebayo has to have the best defensive series of his life if the Heat are going to beat the Nuggets. This is probably going to be the most important individual player matchup of the series. Now let's talk about the Heat a little bit, and more specifically, their red-hot 3-point shooting. A big reason why the Miami Heat have made it so far in the playoffs is because they are shooting extremely well from behind the arc. This postseason, they are shooting 39% from behind the arc, a number that is 3% above league average and would have ranked number 1 in the regular season. Their 3-point shooting helped them take down some of the best teams in their conference, as they shot 45% from 3 versus the Milwaukee Bucks and shot 43.4% from 3 versus the Boston Celtics. If the Miami Heat can keep this up and can retain their advantage shooting 3-pointers, they have the potential to be very competitive this series. This will be very difficult though, because the Nuggets have shot extremely well from 3-point range too. However, the Miami Heat rely on their 3-point shooting a lot more, so this is one area where I think the Miami Heat could have a big advantage. Now let's talk about one of the Nuggets star players, Jamal Murray, and how his performance will impact this series. Heading into these playoffs, I had some questions about the Denver Nuggets, mainly because I didn't know if their supporting cast was quite good enough for them to win the title. Well, Jamal Murray has made me look like an idiot, as he has performed extremely well this postseason, especially on offense. His offensive output has been incredible, as he's been an amazing scorer, shooter, and shot creator. This postseason, he has really stepped it up, averaging around 28 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, on really good efficiency. He's been lights out as a 3-point shooter, shooting 39.8% from downtown, on nearly 8 attempts per game. Murray's ability to hit shots off the dribble really hurt the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, and I think the Nuggets need him to replicate that kind of success against the Miami Heat. If he continues to be a really good shot maker from mid-range and behind the arc, I think the Nuggets could win this series pretty easily. It'll be interesting to see how effective the Nuggets are on pick and rolls and handoffs, and I think it will also be interesting to see how the Heat decide to attack those actions defensively. Like I said earlier, if Jamal Murray gets hot and starts hitting crazy shots off the dribble, I think the Miami Heat are going to be in a lot of trouble. Now let's talk about something that I think is going to be very important for both teams, and that is the performance of their role players. Against the Lakers, the Nuggets got some great individual performances from their role players. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown were awesome and were really productive offensively. KCP was great as a shooter in the Western Conference Finals, and even had an awesome performance in Game 1 in which he scored around 21 points. Bruce Brown wasn't quite as effective as a shooter, but he was really good as a rim finisher and was also decently productive as a passer. Even Michael Porter Jr., who is probably a bit too good to be categorized as a role player, stepped up in a big way and was super productive as a shooter and passer. If these guys can step up in the finals and continue to play well, the Nuggets probably aren't going to struggle. Like the Nuggets, the Heat have a few quality role players of their own, including Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, and Gabe Vincent. In the Eastern Conference Finals, Caleb Martin was one of the Heat's more productive players, and he was incredible, especially as a shooter. It felt like he couldn't miss a single shot versus the Celtics, and the Heat are going to need his long-distance shooting versus the Nuggets. Duncan Robinson and Gabe Vincent are both quality three-point shooters as well, and they stepped up in a big way in the Eastern Conference Finals. Robinson's performance in these playoffs has been awesome to see, as there was a point where he wasn't a big part of the Heat's rotation. Now that he has found his groove again, he has become a huge part of the Heat's success. Vincent is somewhat similar, as he hasn't always been the Heat's starting point guard. However, he has shined in that role in this playoff run, and has had a few big moments for the Heat. All three of these guys, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, and Gabe Vincent, need to play at a high level if the Miami Heat want to knock off the Denver Nuggets and win the championship. Now that we've talked about 4 things to watch in this year's NBA Finals, here's my prediction for this series. I think this series has the potential to be a lot of fun. Both teams have a lot of talent, as the Nuggets have a 2-time MVP in Nikola Jokic and a really creative shot maker in Jamal Murray, and the Miami Heat have a top 10 player in Jimmy Butler and one of the better defensive centers in the league in Bam Adebayo. Both teams also have a slew of productive role players who will have a big impact in this series. I'm going to be completely honest though, I think this is a very favorable matchup for the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets have been playing extremely well on both ends of the floor, and I think that's going to continue in the finals. As good as Bam Adebayo is defensively, I just don't think he's going to be able to do much against Nikola Jokic, who in my opinion is the best player in the world. Jokic is simply too good offensively, and I don't think there's anyone on the planet who can slow him down. I'm also worried that the Heat won't be able to stop Jamal Murray, who has been on fire in these playoffs and is really dangerous when you combine his shot creation and shot making with Nikola Jokic's passing. I also question how the Miami Heat are going to be able to contain Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon provides a big size mismatch with all of their wings, and I think he has a chance to feast in the dunker spot. Of course, the Miami Heat are a talented team with great coaching, and they are on a roll right now. I think Jimmy Butler is going to be awesome this series. I don't think the Nuggets have anyone who can stop him. I also think they are a great three-point shooting team, and this could give them an advantage in this series. That isn't going to be enough to beat the Denver Nuggets though, and I think the Nuggets are going to win this series in 5 games. Perhaps the Heat can push this series to 6 games, but that's about as far as I'm willing to go. I think the Nuggets are winning the championship this year. Thank you for watching this video. Check out my channel for more content just like this, and subscribe so you never miss an upload.